Welcome, friends of Frisbee and fine folks at home, to the first match, our women's semi-final, as we begin the closure of the 2021 New Zealand Ultimate Championships here at the Ngā Puna Sports Hub in Christchurch. My name is Blair Monroe.
And I'm Kelsey Bielik.
Thank you for joining me today, Kelsey. Again, always great to have you back in the booth. Who have we got today in this semi-final match?
Well, I'm really excited to see this matchup with Spring Chickens against Blueberries. Both teams have really been bringing it this tournament, and really excited to see the outcome of this game, see some really strong ultimate played on from both teams on the field. We've got Canterbury with the Spring Chickens versus Auckland with the Blueberries. So it's a North Island, South Island matchup here with a lot of experience from both teams. What are the conditions looking like right now, Blair?
So again, we've dealt a lot with wind over the course of this tournament, but things seem to have settled down quite a lot. Temperatures currently 18 degrees, not too cool. Great Frisbee conditions. A slight easterly breeze moving from the right-hand side of your screen to the left. Now, we've seen a lot of zone defense. We've seen particularly from the Spring Chickens over the course of this tournament, but as that wind has settled down quite a lot, the Blueberries have a lot of versatility. They've got a lot of options to try and break through that zone. Absolutely.
And Spring Chickens really thrive in zone. They thrive with their zone defense, and they thrive in their zone offense as well. And Blueberries, we see they really have the ability to break through that, though, with some big long shots, some great movement. What's the roster looking like here?
So with the Blueberries, coached by Billy Armstrong and Becca Neal, we have Janelle Simpson, Coral Huang as our captains, Emma Menzies as our spirit captain, Becca Neal, Meg Armstrong, Claire Dibson, Crystal Tan, Camille Young, Melody Young, Steph Shen, Petra Horvath, Jenny Ling, Christine Moore, Laylee Bender, Noemi Huvelan, Anna Dolan, Elena Kroon, Caitlin Foster, and Kate Charlesworth.
Meanwhile, with the Spring Chickens here taking the field, we've got captains Penny McCauley, Mickey Scott, Samantha Brown, and then spirit captains Samantha Brown and Sarah Kessens. For the rest of the team, we've got Crystal Lenke,
Tinta Tan,
Amy Lightbourne, Karina Cooper, Sarah Dikama, Alice Stolpe, Adele Gibson, April Bedford, Catherine Watson, Alice Hill, Ingrid Capteen, Tanya Waysbrod, Rachel Landreath, Beth LaRue, EJ Holdaway, Emma Holdaway, Jane Keane, Bonnie O'Neill, Rachel Siohani Royal. Cutting off the rest of the team there, but we're stoked to see them playing on the field. And as I was saying before, what's exciting about Blueberries, especially right now, to match up against the strong zone offense, strong zone defense that we expect Spring Chickens might be throwing a little bit, is that especially in these low windy conditions, they definitely have the throws to be able to break through kind of whatever defense comes their way. Will that be enough to break the strong zone that Spring Chickens have, or will they resort to person defense when they definitely have the legs on the line, a really strong, deep team to be able to continue that running even on the third day of the tournament as well?
Now, I've been speaking with both of these teams. We've been having a little chat with some of the key players on both of these teams to sort of figure out what their strategies are. Blueberries looking not to go down into zone defense of their own, trusting their athleticism to really put one over on the Spring Chickens. Spring Chickens, on the other hand, very, very aware of that athleticism. Alice Stolpe, soon to become Alice Moore in February. Congratulations to her. Really wanting to put that person defense up, really wanting to test herself against the Blueberries' legs.
Lenke with a deep shot.
Tan on defense. Charlesworth, center field.
And it looks like Spring Chickens are in one of their classic zones, managed to put a bit of pressure on, and Armstrong puts the disc just a bit too wide.
So really great start to the team. We've had some great defensive pressure put on. Really, really strong offense working the disc up the field. As I often say, there are only 3 teams in Ultimate that I support: the team playing offense, the team playing defense, and Hammertron, who took a surprising loss 15-2 against the Spring Chickens as a pick is called on field.
Absolutely, and I think that's a really interesting game to highlight going into this one because Hammertron and Spring Chickens, another matchup that previously yesterday I was really excited to see. Both really strong teams, so the outcome of 15-2 was a bit surprising, and I think indicative of potentially more of a mental game than a physical or skills-wise matchup. Not quite working it out, being able to respond in the right way, but it also speaks to Spring Chickens' mental resilience to push through and really keep the hammer on, keep it going. to push through kind of whatever's coming their way and you know, carry through. So for a score like 15-2 against such a competent team is surprising and impressive. So excited to see kind of what they bring out here against Blueberries. Again, another really strong women's team.
And so as this pick is being resolved, just a reminder at home, Ultimate is a non-contact sport. So picks can occur when a defender's pursuit of their offensive player, the player that they are marking, is interrupted by the movements of another player or any player on the field. The play is stopped with a pick call, and the defensive player is allowed to catch up to where they think they reasonably would have been had the pick not occurred. And so you'll have noticed that the teams themselves were making calls on the field, so there are no external arbiters in Ultimate. It's self-officiated. Great interception defense by Anna Dolan.
And I saw that Blueberries defense, they're kind of setting in, really predicting some plays. We saw Meg Armstrong poaching in space. Here she is with the disc again, looking for that deep look. And really reading the space and shutting down that defense, leading to this beautiful turn. And a bobble just outside the end zone results in a turnover. Spring Chickens will have one more chance.
But as we see that that tight match defense from Blueberries, relying on the youth and athleticism to isolate those matchups. Great cut there by Lightburn through a little bit of cloggage in that center field.
We've got some beautiful flowing passes happening. You'll notice the throws are coming off right at the beginning of the stall count. And another great interception by Dolan. She's on fire with these defensive plays today.
Young with the disc. Armstrong in the red zone.
Blueberries right now looking for some beautiful swing passes, really stretching the field. You're seeing that they're not forcing any downfield looks.
But great read there by the Spring Chickens defense to turn the disc over another time.
Both teams just waiting for the opportunity to have the right look open up downfield. We're seeing a lot of beautiful kind of chilly movements, and the turnovers that are happening right now are the ones that they're forcing downfield. Or ones that are a bit too high, can't quite reel them in. The wind carries it just an extra meter or two too far.
And so Armstrong to initiate the offense now. Working with Young in that downfield space. Tan with another attempt at a score there. Another attempt at reception, but the disc once again goes that little bit high. It's going to take a little while for the teams to adapt to the conditions, considering the amount of wind they've had to combat with over the course of the weekend. The team that makes the adaptation the quickest is going to be the one that really puts the first couple of points on the board.
We've got a classic Penny Jackson, beautiful forehand huck there.
Linky with the disc now, marked by Charlesworth. A little bit of mismatch in height there, but she's able to get a disc away. Winding up the big huck, holsters it twice, fires it off the third time. Charlesworth and Linky again. Charlesworth goes early, takes a big swipe.
Oh!
The greater read, but unable to close it out.
Can't quite hold on to it.
We'll see that again. Charlesworth.
You mentioned the height mismatch there, but Lenke is known to climb up the staircase and control the skies, and we see that there. Hope Lightborn's okay.
It looks like an injury call was made, so Lightborn will leave the field. Blueberries allowed another substitution of their own as well in response, and we see...
We've got Scarlett taking the field for Lightborn, and that's also the benefit of having such a deep roster, is knowing, you know, if there is a niggle, Lightborn walked off the field herself, but if there is something that doesn't quite feel right, that you can, you know, take that sub and listen to your body and try to figure out kind of what's going on, and you can rely on your teammates. You've got the depth to be able to do that. We've got Armstrong with the disc.
Great swing. Horvath. Tan threads through the middle of the zone. Great reception there. Anna Dolan streaking deep. The shot goes up. It's got a lot of float.
Oh!
Linky with a great bid going over the top of the dominant Dolan. Has put two massive defensive blocks, creating great separation in that deep space. Maybe a little bit much float on the disc, as she has to slow down to get there.
Looks like they're Yeah, may have been a bit of contact. No call on the field means it was definitely a clean play. Oh, O'Neal is looking for that deep shot, reeling it in to come under.
Great active defense there from Young. Gets the hand block, a beautiful turn. Blueberries really pouring it on.
And I think that's a classic here. This is a classic example of that hard no around, hard no up line defense. So you see Melody Young is stopping the around throws, while Armstrong there stopping the up line. Then we've got Tan again stopping that up line pass. That is classic, beautiful point for Blueberries.
Young with a great first score. Blueberries going 1 up over the Spring Chickens. A 9-minute point. Both teams playing great defense there.
A long point to start the first game on Sunday.
Horvath just waiting for a great cut to develop. Not pressured by defense at the moment. Puts one out into space for a great early score for the Blueberries. They go 1 up over the Spring Chickens.
And Horvath, she's an experienced handler. She has such a calm demeanor with her on the field, and it's great to see her her mind and how it's working with those facial expressions. She sees that look, a bit of a grimace as she looks it off, because she does have the patience to be able to make those right looks, those great connections, not forcing anything that won't result in a score. So after that long, as you mentioned, 9-minute point, we've got Blueberries 1 and Spring Chickens responding right now for an offensive point.
So again, in that defensive line for the Blueberries, Uvalon, Huang, Yong, Bender, some classic Blueberries names we're seeing there.
Meanwhile, for Spring Chickens down here, we've got Sam Brown talking to her line. A lot of these players have played on the world stage year after year after year. A lot of experience, so many years of experience, and really drawing on that, as well as time having played together as teammates and knowing what they need and what they want.
Alice Stolpe already streaking deep, wide open. Great defense there by Huang to stop that huck going off. A bit Stolpe is frustrated by that, but manages the separation anyway, pulls it down comfortably.
And capitalizes on that, saying, hey guys, if you're not going to respect our defense, if you're going to rely on your athleticism to try to keep up with us, and if you're going to poach our players, we're gonna punish that.
I was actually speaking with Alice Stolpe before the game, and I said, hey, you're going to want to go deep and just put the hands up and give the signal, say I'm there. Talk about a cold shot, standing cleanly in the downfield, unmarked. Despite great defensive pressure from Coral Huang to stop that one going off, a quick swing and downfield bomb. Stolpe in great position to pull that one down to tie the game as the Spring Chickens go 1-1 against Blueberries, 12 minutes into our 90-minute soft cap.
Absolutely, and Stolpe, she's definitely a player that you have to respect on every part of the field. I know in her undergraduate, she used to run the 400-meter sprints, so she definitely has that athleticism. And following up, working as a personal trainer now, she's very aware of what it means to be an athlete. Mentally and physically, and that translates over to the ultimate field as well as in life. But you have to respect the space that she's in, as well as the space that she can move into, knowing that she's going to dominate that space physically.
Spring Chickens now to come down on defense against a fierce Blueberries offensive line. Tan, Armstrong,
and Penny Jackson going for the forehand pull here.
We've seen a lot of those from her, as we were quite fortunate to have the Spring Chicken Zodiac game first up streamed.
It is her MO, that strong forehand cut. A defensive play that looks like a foul. Huang with the disc.
It was a clean reception by Huang anyway, but the momentum of the players sort of carried into a collision. Huang making great use of that space, those triangle cuts, just moving around, keeping everything shifting. Hammer across field. Huvalan, the safe hands.
Absolutely. When you have a receiver like Huvalan, you can put a lot of throws her way, and she'll reel it in.
One over the top. We see that Spring Chickens coming down in that zone. Blueberries confident with the disc, quick movement.
And I love seeing these give and goes. Also these swing passes that Blueberries does so well. They do such a great job of spreading the field, using the whole space.
Kate Charlesworth in great position there. Tan open for a nice opportunity for an outside-in backhand to curve around the defender, but the shot doesn't come, and so defense gets set.
Spring Chickens really taking advantage of the higher stall count to set their zone again, to accommodate for the movement and the breaking that Blueberries have done. Oh, a layup bid! Can't get there fast enough. Results in another point for Blueberries.
What a great score there for Parsons.
So one more time, Huang with the disc.
Working through that zone.
To make that swing pass around.
A scuba over the top. Lake finds Houvelan, goes right outside. A great layout bid to the hands of Parsons for a fantastic score.
Hunsberger just throwing it on the line there, trying to stop that point at all costs.
So Blueberries now 2-1 over the Spring Chickens. Some great defensive effort there by Hunsberger, but not quite enough.
And it's still just the beginning of the game. You know, there's 3 points on the scoreboard right now. But these somewhat longer points, as well as the tight score, again, it's just the beginning of the game, but is indicative of what I was excited about, what I was hoping for here, as well as what's left to come. It's a really tight matchup, some solid defensive plays, and a lot of contesting for the disc, as well as a lot of really beautiful movement on offense from both teams. So Blueberries are up 1, but you know, I think this is what we expect to see for the rest of the game as well. It's just really some beautiful women's ultimate from both teams.
Absolutely. So as we close out the 15th minute of the game, Menzies with a great pull for the Blueberries as they come down on defense. We see Stolpe getting ready, revving the engines, clean separation, the huck goes up. Lenke for coverage.
And Tan with a mean closing speed there.
Expecting nothing less from Tan. Constant effort, but Stolpe closes out to Lenke as a 2-pass offense.
Absolutely, and that's
for
something
the Spring Chickens.
That Lenke, she dominates in that space. Her agility is difficult to read. Her shoulder fakes, she's dominates that tight space when she needs to get open in a small vicinity. She really excels at that. She's a difficult player to mark. Stolpe just waiting for her to get open. She knows it's going to happen, just waiting for the right moment. Lenke reeling it in.
Great vision there by the Spring Chickens. Great patience as well. Just really clinical offense, recognizing the conditions have settled down quite a lot. Those long throws that they've got. Typically we find, Kelsey, as players progress through their careers, they maybe lose a little of the athleticism that comes with youth, and they focus a lot more on that skills development. So the Spring Chickens, with that more experience, a lot of their players in the sort of Masters Division age bracket, having a lot of experience with the disc, and so able to just put great shots up like that for fantastic receivers for Stolpe to pull down.
Right. Also, I think important to highlight there, great to see definitely Menzies giving Lenke the high five after that point, that in this tight matchup thus far, again, still just the beginning of the game, but that spirits are high, high fives are plentiful, and that both teams are really supporting each other while still maintaining focus and a competitive drive on the game.
Scarlett to pull. Beautiful pull.
It's got that hang time at the end there, which is what you really want to see in a pull. That's key. That's what every puller is trying to achieve. Hang time with the disc as it comes down slowly to allow the defense time to rush down the field and set that zone, to set that 4-person cup with an assassin.
Still finding that the Blueberries were able to make that swing. It was a great pull, really. Moving towards that far sideline, and the Spring Chickens defense getting in great position early. Young with the disc on the far sideline now. Getting into great position early to seal off the pass that would have recentered the disc and given the Blueberries a lot more width to work with.
And Blueberries really capitalizing on the fact that it's not, the wind has died down for a second. That throw goes a bit too far, a bit too much sauce on that throw. But it's not super windy right now. And when you're throwing a zone, you're forcing passes. Blueberries are showing that they can really capitalize on that and make throws that in windier conditions might be a bit more challenging, but that right now that they'll spread the field.
Some great defensive person defense from the Blueberries, but not enough to seal down the experience of the Spring Chickens. Great fakes shifting the defense.
Again, that hard no around, hard no up line. We've got Scarlett, who was looking for that strike cut, and they're expecting that. Just couldn't make that open shot for her teammate.
Great long put, but it comes off the fingertips of the intended receiver. So the disc swings back the other way. Great bid there.
Great bid indeed.
So the turn going back the other way. Now Spring Chickens with an opportunity to close at about the halfway mark. Scuba up. Young not quite able to get there in time.
The disc is floaty.
Huang on defense, an absolute force with which to be reckoned all by herself. One of those really great highlight players. We saw the kind of work that she did with the Space Invaders in the mixed nationals in the previous couple of years. I had the good fortune of having her as a captain for the Topor Hat in 2019. Just really, really great leadership, great vision on the field. The kind of player that just can rally up the energy and really fire things up. Hammer back across fields.
And I think it's also important to note, along with that leadership and energy, she's got such an arsenal of throws in her back pocket as well. And they're looking for these deep shots.
Bender with a great reception, but a call was made.
I think it's unclear whether her first point of contact when she caught the disc. Not sure if it was on the line potentially, if it was out or in. So players on the field are having a discussion about where she was, what they saw when she caught the disc. That is when the disc stopped rotation in her hands, when she had possession of it. Where was her first point of contact? In Ultimate Frisbee, if she caught it on the line or any part of her body was touching the line, then it would technically be out of bounds. So the line is out of bounds. When in doubt, you can always send the Frisbee back, especially if there's disagreements on the field. Oftentimes, it's always nice to come to a consensus about having everyone on the same page and about what happened. But if there's disagreement, again, they can send the Frisbee back as well. Great communication on the field. We see Scarlett kind of raising her hands, saying, I have an input to weigh in as well. When you have too many voices, you know, a cacophony of people trying to weigh in and say what they saw, it can be difficult to continue that conversation. But it's nice to see kind of they're taking their time, giving everyone the space to speak.
The cheeky Blueberries sideline on near sideline, turning to us for our perspective.
And it looks like they are going to send it back, which means that there was disagreement. No one's quite sure what happened, so they're going to just try it again.
But we know that the Blueberries have the kind of offensive presence to just put that exact same shot up if necessary. It's one of those weird things. Every time a disc is returned after a call, players have to know that either things are going to go exactly the same way or the exact opposite way. It's always a 50-50 shot. Beautiful reception by Gibson. She goes to ground.
Oh, threading the needle through the cup. And Blueberries are in their element right now. This is what they do best. Those quick passes, they're precise. They're finding the open players, and they make this zone offense just look easy.
Absolutely. And there are two main ways to break a zone. Particularly one is as well drilled and as well oiled as the Spring Chickens one. You either move the disc around wherever possible to try and tire out the players who are on that chase, or you go over the top. Now, we know the Blueberries have those over-the-top shots in this wind. We've seen them throw lateral hammers a lot, but they haven't used those same throws to gain anything upfield.
Also, notably, perfect example right there, that when you do hold the disc for a second or two, when you're trying to find that right receiver, it does give the defense a chance to set the cup in, to set the zone just a little bit harder, and it can make it more difficult to find those open shots, which is why it's advantageous to find the open player and swing it right away, resulting in a turnover. Spring Chickens capitalizing right now.
But nothing deep happening for them upfield just yet.
Massive huck fake back in the safe hands of Scarlett, swinging the length of the field.
A little bit much edge on that as it turns over a little early, finding the ground. But now this is exactly what the Spring Chicken zone want. They want the disc trapped as close to the sideline as possible to try and force that throw and use the sideline, use the perimeter of the field as an additional defender, trying to make it an 8 versus 7 matchup, if at all possible.
These points they're drawing out. They're long points. Both teams, really putting the defensive pressure on. I think it's a strong defensive game, and that both of them are struggling to make it to the end zone to score the point finally. And we see, walking up to the disc there, Huang and Siohani Royal both panting. They're looking a bit tired. The score is 2-2, and they're really long points.
Great shot up.
What vision!
Bender to pull down the score. Just fantastic work there. Joined for a cheeky celebration by Dolan and Leung.
And I love that vision, with the disc there. Over the top, as you were mentioning, Blair, those hammers really capitalizing on that open space. And Melody, that vision there, she sees kind of both sides of the field, a farther throw, just opening up space, seeing the cut before it developed and knowing that her teammate had the athleticism, the ability to just run onto it.
So the score now 3-2, Blueberries going up one more time of the Spring Chickens. Nearly 25 minutes into the match, a relatively low-scoring game, but as I've always said, those long points really just mean both teams are playing fantastic defense. This match means everything to these two teams after a great run towards the finals, both teams having a string of wins, only one loss apiece. The winner of this match will make the final for the women's division in the 2021 New Zealand Ultimate Championships. Now,
and both teams are hungry for that. Blueberries, I know last year, after the national championships were canceled, they were devastated. They were training. Their goal for the season was to win, just as their goal for this season is to win. And they've had their eyes on that prize for season after season after season. And last year, they were tasting it. They were so close. Talking with Captain Janelle, I know she was really excited. She was devastated also that a few days before this tournament, unfortunately, she's out with an injury. And she can't be playing on the field with her team, so providing a bit of sideline presence and guidance. But that they were really excited last team to take it all the way. So this is the game for them to win. They really want this to follow up from last season, keep that momentum going, and win the national championships. Now, Spring Chickens, definitely with a few titles under their belts, under different team names. Penny Jackson with, again, her classic forehand huck into the safe hands of Stolpe.
No, to the surprise of no one, Stolpe streaking deep straight off the initiation there. Great defensive pressure by the remarkable Anna Dolan. Charlesworth on the far sideline. Tan in open space in the downfield. Lake.
So again, Spring Chickens, they've won titles in the past with so much experience on their team and so much depth. They have won. They've got experience winning. They also have experience losing, but they know what they need to do to take this to the finals. On the other hand, Blueberries with this drive, tenacity, energy, and this goal in their minds. It comes down to whichever team wants it more, I think, at the end of the day, especially with such a close, tight scoring game.
Dolan moving deep.
And great backup.
Kate Charlesworth goes to ground to pull that one down for the Blueberries, going up 4-2 now over the Spring Chickens. Momentum swinging slightly in the favor of our Northern Auckland team.
And style there, she slides in on her knees to reel it in.
Great work there by both teams on defense and offense, but it's Blueberries who come out on top there as a timeout looks to have maybe been called. Possibly not. Looks like just a line change there.
Spring Chicken's already on the line waiting, and it looks like Blueberries just taking a moment to grab some water and celebrate. We've got the coach Armstrong there talking to the team, potentially discussing what just happened with that point and how it worked so well and how they can continue that momentum going. Potentially talking about what their defense is going to look like and who they want to shut down, maybe force backhand to prevent Penny Jackson from throwing up her signature forehand hucks. I mean, she has a really strong backhand throw as well. So, I mean, taking away her forehand huck can potentially take away options, but there is flexibility and adaptability on Spring Chickens for that. Maybe they'll try coming down into zone just to throw something different and try to switch things up while, again, Spring Chickens adapt really well to a zone. That's kind of where they thrive. Switching up defensive plays can, you know, throw the other team on their back foot, even if they are really good at it, just changing it for 1 point. Looks like Blueberries have come down in person defense.
Linky to initiate. Great bid by Tan, not quite able to generate that turn. Some fantastic movement there. Hunsberger streaking deep.
Can she get there?
Fantastic work by the mighty Avocado, Evelyn Hunsberger. A fantastic reception there to go 3-4 against the Blueberries.
And it looks like the force was backhands there. So, you know, they are trying to take away those forehand throws. And Scarlett, she's such an experienced handler. She has throws in every way. And a beautiful backhand huck. Knowing her receiver, knowing she's going to get there. Hunsberger with the legs, the safe hands to put another point on the board for Spring Chickens.
Now, as the score goes 4-3, Kelsey, I think it's important to recognize that as we're only about half an hour into the game, into our soft cap, 2 of the Spring Chickens points that they've scored, one of them was a 2-pass offense. Big shot up the field to Stolpe to Lenke to score. And that one there, again, only 2 or 3 passes there. So Spring Chickens offense, very, very efficient at the moment. And it's their defense, their grind, that's forcing the Blueberries to take the time on that point. So with a little over an hour left to go, it'll be quite interesting to see whether or not the energy conservation by the Spring Chickens playing that zone defense, but working those long points is going to be enough to tire out the Blueberries, and we'll see if slow and steady win the race.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point as well, Blair. Because when you are hucking the disc and making those connections like that, for the Blueberries, and recognizing that, there's a few ways you can shut that down. One would be playing strong person defense, recognizing that deep space and just saying, hey guys, when you're the last back, when you're marking the deep, you need to be there shutting that down. And with the athleticism that the Blueberries have, they're definitely capable of that. So recognizing that and adapting to that is one way they could do that. Another way they could do that is by playing zone and keeping someone in that deep space. And again, as I've mentioned time after time, I'll promise I'll stop, guys, that Spring Chickens do thrive in their zone offense. So we'll see how they do that. If they can reel this point in, score 1 more on the board, and come out on defense.
Just perfect movement by the Blueberries here. Just shifting the disc around. We saw a great crossfield hammer before. Melody Young on that near sideline doing some great work keeping the disc in. Huang in the red zone. Threads one through. Young to score. Just absolutely fantastic. Probably the most efficient Blueberries point we've seen. Maybe it could be they've started to get themselves fired up a little bit.
That's definitely one thing I'm enjoying watching this game, is seeing the positivity and the energy when both teams score points. How they're really cheering on their teammates. Massive smiles on all their faces as they're running in for the high fives.
So 5-3 now. Blueberries up over the Spring Chickens.
Menzies with a big smile on her face there. Also, the focus in finding that right player, you know, running through the tiredness of the 3rd day of a national tournament. So excited to see what Blueberries do on defense here. Just touching back on that previous point you made, Blair, how are they going to shut down that deep space? Those deep hucks, they tried forcing backhand. That's one way to shut down the forehands. Spring Chickens showing they've got backhand hucks as well. What are they going to do to stop that quick, efficient movement from the Spring Chickens?
That's a great question, Kelsey, and I think the important thing to recognize is that while the Spring Chickens might have a little bit more experience, they've got that sort of quick acceleration, but maybe a lower top end speed, they still have those great receivers in Stolpe and Hunsberger who are able to cut deep, who have that kind of maybe speed advantage over some of the Blueberries players. And so having them as deep options for the Spring Chickens is great for that efficient offense, but in terms of Blueberries defense, it might be a case of having to maybe set up a person defense, but bracketing that stack. So rather than strictly marking players, marking undercuts and deep cuts respectively, so that as those cuts develop, you've got a player already in position to seal that off. We see Anna Dolan kind of doing a bit of the same, looking to cover Stolpe here in that deep space.
Jackson centering to Waysbroad. Waysbroad back to Jackson.
So we're seeing the Blueberries come down in a zone now. Some great movement on on that cup.
And this zone here with the kind of saggy handler marks is classic from Japanese women's zones, actually. And that forehand throw goes a bit far, just allowing those swing passes across the field, which Spring Chickens weren't doing right there. They're still looking for that downfield flow that's been working really well for them. But again, that saggy defense, which really forced the throw into space that they had covered.
So Blueberries to initiate the offense now, coming down against the Spring Chicken zone themselves. Tam with the disc center field. More of a person defense. By the looks, it looked like an initial sort of cup to try and maybe poach off to clog up some lanes, but moving back to that person defense. Huang finding Dolan, marked by Stolpe.
One thing I'm really enjoying right now from the Blueberries offense is we were seeing deep cuts being set off on every throw. And there we go, one of them comes up. And that's something that you really see out of experienced teams.
Great defensive bid there by Stolpe, just using her height, waiting for the timing. A bit much float on the disc to allow Anna Dolan to make a great play on that one. So great work there by the defense, but Stolpe again streaking deep.
We'll match up one more time and, oh!
Anna Dolan gets a tip, but carries the disc just a little downfield, enough float for Stolpe to get a hand to it again. And those gloves coming in handy.
It's situations like this where they say the classic phrase, catch your Ds.
Great pressure by Tan on the mark.
Waysbroad with the disc, commanding the field, looking for that swing. And it's a bit too much. Blueberries with another chance. And as I was saying before, I've been really enjoying seeing with every pass, the Blueberries have been making deep looks and then clearing out of that space, which is something you see at the highest level and something that's exciting to see in teams, that they're expecting a potential deep look off every throw, indicating that not only are they offering opportunities, but that all of the players on the team have the ability to open up that deep space and have throws that are dangerous in every part of the field.
Could not agree more. Bender, center field now, working with Armstrong and Huang.
We've got a bit of a deep stack here. They do have the wind at their backs, but these undercuts aren't coming under. Maybe they're focusing on the handler movement. Huang, they're firing a deep shot.
Dolan and Charlesworth. Great score there.
And a happy closing point strike.
Anna Dolan to Charlesworth, expecting nothing less. That kind of closing vision there from Anna Dolan, particularly as she's been working with Jamie Erickson from Jet, one of the great throwing coaches coming out of America at the moment, who's developed a one-of-a-kind personalized coaching program with customized drills and great evaluative support. Really trying to work on developing those throws, which is fantastic to see, both in the youth space and particularly in the women's space as well. We know, particularly for the Spring Chickens, that they've got a lot of, I suppose, handler concentration. They have 3 or 4 ladies there who have really, really great disc work, probably a bit more spread out across the Blueberries. It's really nice when all of the players on a team are able to move into that handler space while still being able to threaten deep wherever possible. So a big shout out to Jamie Erickson for giving Anna Dolan just that little bit of extra juice to close out that point. Up your throwing, up your game.
Now it looks like teams have called a timeout here, and I will take this opportunity to step out of the commentary box. I do have a game coming up myself, but thank you everyone for letting me walk you through, being your eyes and ears on the ground of this first match on Sunday of what's really a really exciting game, and I'm stoked to touch in later on and see the outcome. But for now, thank you again, and I'll definitely be joining you in the finals.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. Hopefully we'll have you back in the booth soon. Good luck with your game. Last game of the tournament for Ngā Wahine Toa o Moau. Really, really good luck in that final game. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you, Blair. Thank you, everyone.
And so after the brief timeout, we are back with the action. Blueberries to come down on defense against the Spring Chickens offense, 6-3 in favor of Blueberries. One more big thank you to my partner in crime, Kelsey Bielik, for joining me in the commentary, doing the impossible task of playing and providing commentary support. Big thanks as well to those who've joined us, in particular Rachel Siahani Royal playing on the field now, Spring Chickens number 27. One more time, the Spring Chickens, just such efficient offense. Only 3-4 passes necessary despite a great bid from Meg Armstrong going up, number 72 for the Blueberries. 6-4 now. Anybody's game. Tan trying to take away that forehand. Forcing towards that near sideline. The shot goes up. Comfortably run down. Just a great score there for the Spring Chickens. So the pull goes up as the Spring Chickens come down on defense one more time, hoping to bring it back to a one-point game. Huang, quick swing up the far sideline. Yong Luing making great work of that disc. Pulling to the near sideline now. Getting Menzies involved. Some great fakes there. Hunsberger on the mark. Gibson up the near sideline, great pressure. Forcing the disc to go backwards. Blueberries slowly losing position under the pressure of that zone, but able to quickly chip around to work through. Recentered to Menzies. Huang again, straight through, despite a great bid by Linky. It's not enough. Young with the disc. Menzies again. Again, these huge fakes. Managing to open up space. Gibson, near sideline, still forced to work backwards. Young filling in, but threads one through to Armstrong. Menzies again. And that is what the Spring Chickens defense desperately wanted. A forced reset, and the disc finds the ground, so Spring Chickens to initiate that offense. Over the top, finding Linky. Hunsberger, great undercut, covered by Gibson. Now streaking deep, getting the separation. The vision is there. Linky to Scarlett, but a collision interrupts the flow of momentum. Straight through. What a beautiful shot there. Watson pulling that one down for the Spring Chickens. (6-5) now. A close semi-final here. Fantastic game. Great effort from both of these teams. A real nail-biter of a semi-final. Only 1 point in it at the moment. Still a race to 15. About halfway through our time cap at the moment. The winner of this game goes on to face the winner of our other semi-final being played at the moment between Nexus Affinity and Auckland's Zodiac. So 45 minutes into the game, 6-5 still in favor of Blueberries. Blueberries to come down on offense. And we're seeing those great offensive threats on that line. Hannah Dolan, who's done great work in that deep space, particularly on those turns. Kate Charlesworth, incredibly quick. Armstrong, a great and confident handler, working with Huang and Yong in that backfield space. Law, Armstrong sends the big one up. Bender's underneath it. Contact looks to have been made. So just a reminder for those at home, the sport of ultimate is self-officiated. There are no external arbiters. Each player acts as a referee while playing, making calls, offering their own perspective, and aiming to resolve those discussions as amicably as possible, maintaining at all times respect not only for yourself, but for your opposition. Exhibiting great spirit of the game here, the thing that defines the sport of ultimate, by being willing to have that conversation. So it looks as though that call was contested. So the disc will go back to the last uncontested play, which means Armstrong will find that disc more or less where she was when she released it. And so players will return to where they were when that play initiated. But again, you can see those smiles on the face. Everyone's still in great spirits. It's a tight game. It's exactly what these players want. The two best results in Ultimate are either a 15-0 win, confident, or to take the game as tight as this one on a universe point. Now currently we're looking 6-5, only a single point in it at the moment. There's the initiation again. Tan giving Armstrong a quick reset. Hong out into space comfortably. Through to Charlesworth, hoping to close. Having to look backwards to find Armstrong. Young. Armstrong again. Great defensive pressure that we're seeing there. Bender making a great cut into space to find it. Tan. Sends a long shot through for Yong to pull down. No hesitation at all. Blueberries 7-5 over the Spring Chickens. 1 point away from taking half. As our game to 15, the first team to score 8 points will take half time. Give the teams a few minutes break just to rehydrate, to talk about strategy, what has and hasn't worked. There's a massive psychological advantage to taking that half time. Just being able to seal those points away, put away the half, and come out of the second half firing, knowing that you're ahead, knowing that you've worked hard. You've fought those points away from the other team. By the sounds of things, our Zodiac Nexus Affinity game has already concluded. But this game, our stream semi-final, still well underway. 7-5, only 2 points in it. Blueberries to come down on defense. Spring Chickens, great offensive presence here to put so many points up against the young Auckland side. Such efficient offense. We see Hunsberger, And Stolpe on the line. Stolpe sitting in that deep space, unmarked, but there's a turn generated. Great work there by Blueberries. Petra Horvath working with Coral Huang in that down handler space. Melody Young takes a knee, keeps the disc in bounds. Dolan with a great bid, but it tips off the fingertips. 40 minutes left in the game, a turn going back the other way. Spring Chickens with an opportunity. Those trailing edge passes always a little bit harder to get secure. Pinned down on the far sideline as Spring Chickens look to start off their offense, hoping to put another point on the board, keeping it a 1-point game. Scuba over the top. Backhand through to Linky. High shot. Menzies underneath it, gets the D. Great performance there by the Blueberries. Great undercut, but a trip results in a stoppage. Just making sure everyone's okay. Particularly in the later stages of this tournament, we've seen a lot of injuries be made as teams have played 2 full days of Ultimate at a very, very high level. And so just preservation of the bodies on the last day of the tournament. Super important as both of these teams potentially have a final match ahead of them. Hulan in great space, covered by Lenke. Horvath on the near sideline. Great movement there to open up space. Huang moving up line, pulling out her defense, able to give Menzies space to get through. They swap places. There it is. A great shot to the far sideline, wide open space, but the throw goes a little long. Young not able to get it in bounds. Despite great closing speed, the throw just a little bit far outside. And so again, a long point here. Seeing a lot of turns, which just means both teams are playing great defense. We're not seeing a lot of unforced errors here. Hulan on the mark. Tries to get a bid. The backhand goes up. Dolan over Lenke. Clean defense. Just a real great asset to the Blueberries side here. Trying to get a name known on the stats board. Defense after defense after defense. Plus a great assist as well. Supported by Jamie Eriksson from Jet. Hulan puts a long one up. Great bid by Stolpe, but an injury's been called. Such a lovely put. Stolpe with that closing speed. Managed to get a hand to the disc. Nearly had it on the layout. Take a rest, Anna. You've done great. And big thanks to Triumph Physio supporting the Blueberries throughout this women's season. So I've just received confirmation that an hour into our game, Nexus Affinity have put 15 points up over Zodiac, uncontested. A great performance. They were expected to be seen in the finals. Stolpe hoping to put the Spring Chickens up against them as Dikma gets into space in the zone, marked loosely by Bender. A briefcase of a throw. Linky takes it in over Menzies. We need to see that again. Marked by Ling. There it is. That's a kind of heart-stopper throw. You see one of those go up that close to the end zone. Everyone on the sideline holds their breath. 7-6. A closer game we could not ask for. In stark contrast to the other semi-final already played out, Nexus Affinity having a great opportunity to get some well-deserved rest before they meet the winner of this match in the finals. It could be anyone. There's only 1 point difference between these two teams. Earlier on in the tournament, Blueberries had a win over Hamatron by 3. Spring Chickens had a win over the same team by 13. Looking at some of the other similar matchups against the Exiles team, Blueberries win 15-5, whereas Spring Chickens win 15-4. Absolutely fantastic performance from both these teams. They're very evenly matched, albeit playing very, very different styles of Ultimate. From the looks of things, Spring Chickens, particularly throwing down that zone on defense, really, really great work. But on offense, they're favoring those long passes. They're looking for those great power receivers like Stolpe to target that end zone and close those off, even if the throw selection, as Stolpe gets that assist, was questionable. That zone defense forcing the Blueberries, who do have that same arsenal of throws and some of their power throwers, Huang, Armstrong, Yong, forcing to make more shorter passes, trying to work around the defense instead. And so it's a great thing to see the Spring Chickens really set the pace for the game with their defense and their fast-paced offense. But it speaks to the strength of the Blueberries that they are still 1 point ahead, despite allowing the Spring Chickens to really dictate what kind of Ultimate is being played on the field. That said, there's only 1 point in it. It is still anyone's game. Currently a race to 15. About 30 minutes left on the clock. As soon as we hit that soft cap, if neither team has scored 15, we will conclude the point being currently played, add 1 to the highest score, and race to that number. Blueberries with an offensive opportunity to take half here. Gibson, Armstrong, Menzies. Great shot, straight through. Finds Huvelam. That's exactly what the Spring Chickens need. About 3/4 of the field to work ahead of them, as the Blueberries take that person defense, that great matchup, hoping to isolate those mismatches. A big fake. Armstrong shuts that down, goes for the reset instead. Big shot goes up, received cleanly. Spring Chickens hoping to close this one out, taking us to a Galaxy point. Laser beam through for a great score. 7-all, 31 minutes left on the clock. Anyone's game. We have ourselves a Galaxy point. The first team to score now will take half time. What an absolute peeler we have for us today. A momentary break from the action to see the geese flying overhead before we return to the discs flying overhead. As we conclude the 15th point of the match, the score currently 7-7 between the North Islands Blueberries, the South Islands Spring Chickens. The next team to score takes half. Neither team willing to give an inch. Each of these teams one win away from a hard-earned spot in our final match for the 2021 New Zealand Ultimate Championships at Ngā Puna Sports Hub in beautiful Christchurch. Armstrong and Huang initiating the offense. Great outreach grab there by Armstrong. Puts an IO forehand straight into the hands of Anna Dolan, back from injury. Doing such fantastic work in that downfield space. What a great player to see her develop. Streaking deep, no coverage, puts the point away. 8-7, Blueberries going up over the impressive, the nigh unstoppable Spring Chickens. As we go to half time, we'll get to see that again. Great grab there by Armstrong. A low release, inside out forehand for Dolan to pull down. So that is currently 8-7. We will take a brief halftime break before we come back for the second half of this gripping, exciting semi-final match between the Blueberries and Spring Chickens. My name is Blair Munro. Joined with me earlier was Kelsey Bielik, and I will be back with you very, very shortly. Welcome back to the second half of the streamed semi-finals in the women's division of the 2021 Ultimate Championships at Puna Sports Hub in beautiful, not so sunny Christchurch. We have the Spring Chickens versus the Blueberries. The score currently 8-7. Blueberries having taken half, 8 points over the Blueberries 7. My name is Blair Monroe. I'm joined in the booth
by me, Will Druzianic.
And it is our absolute pleasure to be here for this nail-biter of a match. A semi-final that just could not be a closer representation of the level of New Zealand Ultimate, particularly in the women's division, as these two teams battle it out for a spot in the finals to be streamed later on today.
I was watching from the sidelines today, Blair. It's been a very, very close game, although there was eventually, at one point, a 3-point difference. It's become quite the close match, getting to Galaxy Point for halftime, and I'm excited to see how this game turns out.
Brilliant. Now, how do you feel, so from what you've seen in terms of the way these teams are working? So I made a claim, and I could very well be wrong about this, but I feel as though the Spring Chickens have really set the pace for this game. Their defense is doing a great job of slowing down the Blueberries. The Blueberries are playing really, really long points on offense, but quite a few of the Spring Chickens' points have been 1, 2, 3 passes. Very, very offensive efficiency.
I agree. I mean, the Spring Chickens have those players that have the agility to just get into the end zone right off of the start of their offense, and they just make space and they just get those points really quick. But the Blueberries are doing a great job of just taking their time, a lot of patience, just passing it towards the back players, between the handlers, and eventually just getting it into the end zone. We've got a very close game.
Now, Blueberries having won the flip at the beginning of the game. As they started on defense, they'll start the second half on offense. A great opportunity for them to widen that score, going 2 points up potentially. Petra Horvath and Huang initiating that offense. Some great quick disc movement. Tan on the far sideline.
Some great short passes between the players, but a strong defense coming from Spring Chickens.
Huang puts a big shot up. A lot of fade on it. Tan not able to get hands to it. Despite great effort, great positioning, just a little much fade on that disc. We still don't have a lot of wind, but the disc peeled away towards that far sideline, just out of bounds there.
It's great weather today for Ultimate. The sun is behind the clouds, so will not be interfering with the players' vision on seeing the disc, and the wind has died down.
One more time, that efficient offense that we saw.
There it is, the 1 or 2, 3 passes from Spring Chickens where they just get it straight to the end zone.
Absolutely. So Diekma with the disc on the far sideline. Great work by the defense to force a miscommunication and generate a turn. Horvath in great position there.
2 players here, both going for the swat, getting it to the ground. Blueberries getting the turnover that they need to win this point.
Ling to Young to Menzies. Great score.
Execution there. Fantastic job from the Blueberries, just managing to work the disc up the line and get it into the end zone, scoring that point.
Wonderful work, and as we always say, once the defense is out of position, the defense can't do its job. Just 4 quick, uncontested passes. Menzies with a great score to put us 9-7. Blueberries over Spring Chickens for the semi-final match.
Blueberries extending their lead with not much time left on the clock.
So still a race to 15, and with the kind of offensive efficiency that we've seen from both of these teams now, particularly as the Blueberries are really starting to get fired up in the second half of the game, it could still be a score to hit the points cap.
Well, this is the thing. The Spring Chickens' fast points will favor them in trying to get as many points before time runs out. But with Blueberries being ahead, they can afford to take their time, making all these short passes and slowly working their way up the field. Blueberries with the pull.
So a little over 20 minutes left on the clock. Menzies again, who's done some fantastic work, number 53 for the Blueberries, in terms of getting the disc into a great position to try and put the Spring Chickens on the back foot. The Spring Chickens relying on their experience and their familiarity with the sport of Ultimate to create those openings that allow them to exploit that downfield space, particularly when they've got those deep receivers like Stolpe, who's joined the line.
Unfortunate roll there for the Spring Chickens, but luckily coming back to them.
Armstrong and Charlesworth initiating that defense. Looks like we are seeing a zone coming through.
And it's very effective. The Blueberries able to just get their hands in there and swat the disc to the ground for the turnover.
Great defense there by Tan. Great vision.
Couple fakes.
Armstrong sends a big one up.
Unfortunately, just out of reach from the end zone. Unfortunately, if the player had taken another step, it would have been out of bounds, but very close to getting a point there for the Blueberries.
Dolan not content with taking half, hoping for a great toe drag, a real highlight play. The kind of screenshot that turns into a Facebook profile picture. But now Blueberries, having worked that zone, played really, really well against it. We're going to see the disc come in where it went out, so a little bit upfield, but close to the sideline. So that zone's going to do a great job of maybe sealing away most of the field from them. Stolpe goes long anyway, but covered by Dolan.
Deep passes from the Spring Chickens.
Great defense by Dolan. I think her 4th block of the game, 1 point, 1 assist, really racking up those stats.
Blueberries immediately bringing back the speed of their short passes, making a lot of distance up the field.
Menzies, Hooverland with a great aerial grab to Tan. Dolan.
Fantastic play
undenied. There. No contest whatsoever.
Blueberries doing a great job at just weaving through the defense of the Spring Chickens and just making their way and identifying where in the end zone they can make those passes.
Just what a grab. The momentum, the flow. Tan with a perfect assist.
And a great catch there.
Beautiful point there by Blueberries. Just seeing everything come together for this team. We know the kind of work that they've done in terms of fitness, in terms of doing pod trainings throughout last year when we had lockdowns. They still had that same team mentality. They worked together really, really well. They focused on maintaining that conditioning. I know number 9 for the Blueberries, Crystal Tan, does some fantastic work in terms of developing her conditioning and cardio. Probably one of the hardest working Blueberries I'm aware of. Puts really great work in, but again, the work that we do see and the work that we don't see are often
absolutely. There's more than just
what's nothing.
There's absolutely more than just what we see on the field. The Blueberries have a lot of synergy when they're doing these plays and passing between. They're seeing where their teammates are available, but they also know how each other play, and they're able to execute off of that. We're seeing a strong offense and defense from Blueberries, which is getting them these points.
But again, the defense comes down. Spring Chickens, clever disc movement. Big fakes, trying to open up that space.
Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a big pull here from Spring Chickens.
I think Melody Young might have got a tip to that, but it's kept alive.
Great short passes here, just making their way up the field.
Sends the forehand up, a little bit of edge fading down. Scarlett.
Oh, unfortunately, just slipped out of the hand.
Having the cleats of Petra Horvath just on her heels, enough to make Scarlett
a lot of pressure from defense
that
there.
Jump. Absolutely, that kind of characterizes my playing style of Ultimate. Running as loudly as possible to make the offense think you're closer than you are.
Exactly it, and look at this. Blueberries made a great couple plays just to get them all the way back into their side, but unfortunately, a turnover. Spring Chickens will want to capitalize off of this.
Absolutely, with a 3-point lead. The Blueberries having done a fantastic job to really chip that one back, to widen that gap. Spring Chickens need to close this one out as we've got a little over 15 minutes left in the game.
But 3 points in 15 minutes isn't impossible. This is still anyone's game.
So a pick has been called. The disc will go back. Players will take the positions that they would have had the pick not occurred. So we can see Leung just slowly catching up to her offensive player. Rachel Siahani Royal, who's I've had the good fortune of being joined by in the commentary box throughout this tournament. Great work in that handler space. Streaking deep, covered by Hooverland, so it doesn't come. Spring Chickens putting one up anyway.
Trying to make it work, can it? A great catch, just taking in the air and taking into the end zone. A great point from Spring Chickens, closing that gap.
Catherine Watson putting one up on the board.
This is a great example of throwing the Frisbee to where your players can be as opposed to where they already are.
Absolutely, and when we see this one go up, the backhand go up, it's that late reaction, but the disc having enough float to give the player an opportunity to get in space and go for the reception. So 10-8, Blueberries over Spring Chickens, only a 2-point game in a semi-final match. The most important match either of these teams has played this tournament so far, to be beaten only by the match to come immediately afterwards.
Unfortunately, Blueberries will be on offense, so the Spring Chickens are disadvantaged by that, so they will need a break to try and close this gap. Both teams just taking a moment to discuss tactics, what's working, what's not, what needs to change, and how to just secure those points.
Bender with a taped up thumb on her right hand, so we will see whether or not that has an impact on her throwing and catching.
Great low pull here from Spring Chickens.
Finding Tan center field to Huang, threading up that far sideline to Charlesworth.
Spring Chickens with the player-on-player marking, doing a great job at defense, putting enough pressure on the Spring Chickens, sorry, on the Blueberries, where there will be a turnover in the Spring Chickens' favor.
Spring Chickens about 3/4 of the field to work up. Macaulay, number 8 for the Spring Chickens, known for the big forehands, puts one up.
Potential recovery here. Unfortunately, a turnover.
Menzies just able to keep that out of the safe hands of Hunsberger. Huang establishing a pivot, pinned down on the near sideline.
Player resumes. Great short passes here from Blueberry.
Oh, a call's been made, so there should be a stoppage. And again, particularly in those semi-finals matches, despite players making calls on the field and hoping to have a conversation to resolve what should or shouldn't have happened, sometimes the blood gets a little bit hot, the ears close out as the eyes open, trying to see what's developing downfield. And so we'll return those passes to where Huang was on the near sideline, sorry. 12.5 minutes left in the game, 2 points in it at the moment. A real nail-biter of a semi-final.
Excited to see what Blueberries decide to do with the disc in this play. Going for the long one along the sidelines, potential catch inbounds, unfortunately just out of reach for the Blueberries player who made themselves available in the end zone.
And that really is one of the perils. If we watch this again, it is the kind of great, clean pass that Charlesworth could have run onto. But that early bid, pressured by the defense. That's the key thing. The defense just being in bounds, knowing you've got to pull that disc down as soon as possible.
This is also how wind can affect the game, because in previous games yesterday, we saw that there was a lot of wind able to blow them back inbounds. A large throw
Menzies with a great interception there. Just fantastic read. The Blueberries having to work back upfield, finds Yong far sideline. A laser beam to Charlesworth. Quick reset in great position, floating one out of space.
In the end zone. Great defense there from Spring Chickens. Almost a collision with the rugby post.
Yep, and it looks like Ling will make the call that a foul was made.
Bit of a replay here. We'll see. This is a potential contact in the act of catching. May have interrupted this.
Yeah, so as we saw there, the Spring Chickens defense came up over the top of Ling's shoulder as she went for the bid. The Spring Chickens making the argument that it didn't impact the play. Maybe Spring Chickens defender thought that Ling had already failed to catch when that contact was made. Either way, the two fists pounded together, giving the signal that the foul is going to be contested. The disc will return to the last uncontested play, so it will stay in Blueberries' possession. Players to take the position that they occupied when that play was initiated. So Melody Yong, a great handler for the Blueberries, in fantastic position here.
I'm sure we'll see very hasty and strong defense here from Spring Chickens the moment play resumes.
That is one of the perils when you have plays like Blueberries who have really great in movement out of their throwing motion. So they throw and then quickly are moving on for the next option. They're not content to just watch the disc. And so trying to find out where they should have been when the play happened. Oh, an injury's been called. So Spring Chickens will take a substitution. Less than 10 minutes left on the clock.
Potentially just stepping incorrectly. Hopefully the player is all right. But play will resume. Blueberries trying to spot somewhere where they can throw this disc to make a difference. Great couple passes here. time to identify where in the end zone this disc can go to.
Great coverage on the defense.
Spring Chickens not letting this go easy.
Young in that handler space.
Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some overhead throws there from Blueberries, as they were bringing a lot of those out earlier.
Not quite jumped in by Carl Huang to put another point on the board. Big floaty backhand.
Great intercept there.
Hansberger.
A turnover with Spring Chickens can immediately just start going, while Blueberries has to reset their defense, and they'll probably be pretty tired after trying to make so much space in the last point.
Hansberger making great grabs over the top of Menzies.
Minor unintentional contact there, but play does resume. Oh, a long pull here from Spring Chickens. Great catch there.
With a great score there. Spring Chickens to go 9, Blueberries 10.
And there's that break we're talking about. Spring Chickens closing that gap, not giving up. A great point here. Just floats perfectly down and able to be grabbed in the end zone.
So much separation as Diekma goes into that deep space. And it's one of those things, after so many quick turns back and forwards, a lot of changes in momentum, a lot of calls, the fire starts to cool down a little bit. You could see that play was starting to slow down, maybe the fatigue setting in a little bit. There wasn't the same intensity that we saw, particularly as the energy swung back the other way. It could be that Blueberries being a couple of points up, being really, really focused on their offense, maybe a little bit slow to make that change to defense, which gave Spring Chickens an opportunity to close another point out.
Very true. The turnover was very close to the end zone of the Blueberries, and Spring Chickens, although taking their time with the fatigue that they may be experiencing, still managing to get it into the other end zone in just 2 or 3 passes. A very close game, only 1 point separating the two teams. Less than 10 minutes left on the clock.
Pull with a little bit of skim there.
It was always great to get an extra bit of distance.
Horvath and Armstrong in the handler space for the Blueberries. Hooverland streaking deep, covered by Stolpe. It's a high shot, but Stolpe's not there.
A great way to cover the entire field, though. Blueberries able to apply a lot of pressure onto Spring Chickens immediately in this point.
Huang gets up.
Well executed. It was hard to tell whether that player had landed in the end zone, but they were able to identify a player just in front of them that they could then pass it to and secure that point.
So one more time, number 42, Anna Dolan doing some great work here. Just collecting highlight after highlight.
Great couple fakes, making space for players, and just identifying who's available.
Armstrong puts one up.
And then just the immediate pass to the player in front. Great job.
Comfortable and a respectful absence of a disc spike. Always nice to see in high-level ultimate.
Always great to get a point early on as well, just straight from the pull. A lot of energy after a break in a play. And the Blueberries using that all immediately to get another point, securing them another lead of 2 points.
So 11-9 now. Blueberries a little less than 6 minutes away from hitting soft cap. At which point, if neither team has reached the point cap of 15, we will conclude the point being currently played and one to the highest score. And it will be a simple, flat-out race to that new number. Spring Chickens now on offense again. We're seeing that great pairing, the classic pairing of Lenke and Stolpe, who have done some fantastic work in the downfield space for the Spring Chickens this game.
Great pull here from Blueberries, one that will flow down quite slowly, giving them a lot of time to set up a good defense. Seems they are resuming back to the player-on-player marking.
Puts the backhand up. Stolpe in great position.
Here. Great catch here.
Hooverland not able to get one.
Unfortunately, just the Frisbee not curving back inbounds for the players to catch on such a still day. There's no wind to harness. You have to throw that disc at just the right angle that you're hoping. But unfortunately, it just doesn't curve back in.
Blueberries a long field ahead of them to work up. Some great disc movement there, great person movement as well. Huang making a great strong up the line cut to give space for Melody Yong.
Deep throw, unfortunately, just a great space, but none of the Blueberries team was able to get that. Spring Chickens wanting to seize this opportunity once again to try close this lead that Blueberries have over them.
Scarlett to handle right around the halfway line. Puts a backhand up.
It's a deep one. Will Spring Chickens secure this? Oh, great defense there.
Fantastic bid by number 18, Bender for Blueberries to shut that one down.
As we see on the replay, just Blueberries getting in there and making sure it just can't be well caught.
What a dynamic game. Some fantastic ultimate on display. The very best probably that we've seen so far outside of the Women's Showcase game. A great forehand goes up. Linky gets in the way.
Once again, in the same position, Blueberries trying to get the disc out of their side of the field, but unfortunately just not able to find a player to catch that disc.
And so, like deja vu, Scarlett just south of the halfway line.
We resume play. Great defense there from Blueberries. An immediate swat to the ground. The turnover, they won it at the halfway point.
Charlesworth with a great explosive defense. And then immediately develops into a great deep cut, but not yet rewarded.
Blueberries now working on the side of the field they're comfortable with.
Armstrong to Charlesworth on the far sideline. Great up the line movement. Scarlett not able to cover it. Quick defensive switch to really shut down the next pass, but Armstrong's in a great position. Puts one through to Huang for the great score.
Finds the gap, identifies it.
Absolutely perfect offense that we're seeing there. Great work to close out that point.
Following the sideline is always risky, as we'll see on the replay, because you just have to make sure your teammate is able to reach it without stepping out of bounds, which we've seen a couple times this game. But here we see it work perfectly, and the Blueberries able to secure this point.
Great work by the Blueberries. Going up one more, 12-9.
Minor team discussion here from Blueberries.
Not a lot of timeouts being called during the course of this game. So both of the teams hungry to put everything away, to leave nothing behind on the field.
Spring Chickens have quite the hill to climb. If they can stall this out for one more minute, and at this point we'll have to finish, and then soft cap will be decided off of that. And we're off. A great pull here from the Blueberries.
Great chase by the Blueberries defense now. High backhand.
Great catch there. That was risky. I was a bit worried that would be a turnover on behalf of the Spring Chickens. But they're doing a great job at just waiting and being patient. But still, Blueberries with that tough defense, just not letting anything happen.
Parsons says not today. Horvath with the big bomb. Yong unmatched in speed. Not able to get it.
Unfortunately, only matched in speed by the Frisbee. Both teams now taking time with these turnovers. I think both are enjoying the minor breaks that they can have, so they can bring a lot of energy to each of these plays. We might have a cut here from Spring Chickens. I wouldn't be surprised if they went deep. No, working their way up the field. Great catch there. Almost slipped between the fingers of Spring Chickens, but they're keeping position here and can keep applying pressure. We are now 0 minutes on the clock, so after the next point, the score to reach will be 1 above the highest point. Unfortunately, for the Spring Chickens, it just floats to the ground.
Great pressure there, forcing a miscommunication. And so the disc at about the 3/4 mark. We see Armstrong putting one up to Yong on the near sideline, closing out. Second bid.
Great recovery there from Blueberries. A
Layout.
dive to secure that point. Fantastic work there and dedication. Unfortunately, we were worried it was a fumble as she caught it and it bounced out her hand, but she did recover and was able to dive and catch it.
And that is really one of the things about the high-level ultimate that we're seeing on display here. These players have such fantastic focus.
Absolute commitment.
And we always say a disc is catchable until it hits the ground. Ling taking that lesson to heart, not willing to let her teammates down as we go 13-9 now, a 4-point differential.
So if I'm not mistaken, it will be first to 14.
Absolutely right. So Spring Chickens 5 points ahead of them in a row to score.
It's not
one
impossible,
offensive
but it
hold.
will be difficult.
Absolutely. 1 hold, 4 breaks. Blueberries only 1 break away, or if they concede the next point, 1 offensive hold.
Is that the soft cap? So this play will be played out, and then the next point will be the win?
So potentially a game to 15 anyway. Really depends on what happens over the next point. Either a game to 14, game to 15. Depending on who scores this next one, Menzies puts the pull up.
We had the same minor confusion yesterday when a play ended with 20 seconds left on the clock and the time ran out between plays. Spring Chickens hoping to make something happen if they're going to want this lead.
Charlesworth nearly getting a bite out of that one again.
Unfortunate turnover here. Blueberries will want to capitalize on this.
Great pressure by Tan to keep the discs out of the otherwise very confident handler, Scarlett, number 4 for the Spring Chickens. So great defensive pressure there. She'll be proud of herself. Huang and Menzies in the backfield. And again, great up the line movement. Stolpe with the fantastic interception.
Defense. Just running with speed, getting the hand out there, managing to swat it out the air, taking it straight to the ground. Great
Scarlett
turnover.
Now.
Spring Chickens trying to identify some space. Great defense, though.
Huvilan over-committing on the mark, allowing the reset to come away. Lenke right outside. Great reset there. Huvilan trying to put the mark on, but Lenke closes the point out. 10-13. Blueberries only up by 3 as we hit our soft cap. A game to 14 it'll be.
This is great for Spring Chickens, though, as they've made it a lot less. For if they had let Blueberries score, it would have still been soft cap and the game wouldn't have been over. But Spring Chickens have made it so there's less of a lead that they have to come back from.
So this, potentially the last point of the game, Spring Chickens to come down on defense.
Defense is, of course, a disadvantage. But with these good intercepts they have been getting, I wouldn't be surprised with an early turnover where they could capitalize and potentially score.
So 4 consecutive breaks necessary for Spring Chickens to walk their way into the finals. The Blueberries on a roll, 3 points ahead, coming down on offense.
Taking a break, taking a team talk, completely fair for if they put enough pressure on and secure this point while they're on offense. This could lock out the game.
And so we're starting to see some very familiar faces. Melody Yong, Meg Armstrong, Coral Huang, Noemi Huvilan,
signal they are ready with the pull.
and Dolan.
Great low pull with a lot of distance from Spring Chickens.
Now my prediction for the final point of the game, particularly as we know the Blueberries, what they're like on offense. Huvilan makes a great isolation cutter in the end zone. She's so agile, she's so explosive.
I imagine a lot of patience and a lot of passes between handlers. Not playing anything risky. They are ahead by a couple points. They just need that 1 point.
Now if the Blueberries can work their way up to the end zone and set up an isolation play, but a pick has been called. The Blueberries have a well-drilled end zone offensive strategy. They know how to move. They know, for the most part, they've got the Spring Chickens covered in terms of sheer agility, that initial step. And so we'll see if they're able to get in a position to utilize that to close out this game.
All members of the Blueberries and the Spring Chickens' minds probably racing with strategies.
Siahani Royal, number 27 for the Spring Chickens on the mark. Great defense by Spring Chickens.
As we
Great minds
suspected.
think alike.
This is what we said might happen. Spring Chicken getting an early turnover with a great defensive swat to the ground. The game's far from over. Do we expect... Oh,
Another pick has been called. So pursuit interference, as players pick lines that maybe bring their defenders a little bit close to making contact with the opposition or other players on the field.
I would not be shocked to see a deep throw here from Spring Chickens and just trying to get into the end zone where they have players, as they've been very famous for doing in this game.
Great disc movement there, great shifting the mark.
Seeing some great passing between handlers.
Puts one through, well received. There's the
There it
backhand.
is, the one that we assumed might happen if this is a catch. Another great break here from Spring Chickens.
Evelyn Hunsberger really putting in the work today, doing such a great job. Her second point for the Spring Chickens, as well as a great defensive interception earlier on in the game.
The Spring Chickens comeback looking more and more possible with the more breaks that they get.
13-11,
11, I believe. 2 more breaks and the game will be tied up. Spring Chickens not able to afford letting up any energy or pressure.
Absolutely. The team at this point, when a game this close, particularly in the semi-finals, the first team to let their foot off the gas is going to be the one that has to walk away from a shot at a gold medal.
A lot of team discussion here. Blueberries deciding what they need to change or what needs to happen to make sure that they can get this point before Spring Chickens close this lead.
A huge amount of tension on the field. This is everything that I love about the sport of Ultimate. Hotly contested games, great athleticism on display, great vision, great teamwork, smiles, spirit. Teams willing to leave everything out on the field in pursuit of just the sheer joy of play.
I've been lucky enough where I think every game I've went to has not ended by 15 points, but by these soft caps. So I've seen a lot of close games across this tournament.
And it's exactly the kind of Ultimate, because you're quite new to the sport of Ultimate, aren't you?
Yes, the first game I commented was the first game I'd seen live.
You are in for a treat, sir, as New Zealand teams really putting on some fantastic Ultimate for you to introduce you to the sport, to show you what
A great deep
our
pass
team are
here.
capable of.
Oh, unfortunately, just slipped out of Blueberries' hands there. No
Those
contact was made.
Those mirror matchups, 23 versus 23.
A great long pass here. And unfortunately, an opportunity just past the hands.
Now you could see there as the hand got underneath it, the thumb slightly extended, the disc is going to hit that thumb and curl off. You could see it peel off towards the right. Unfortunate, a great opportunity for Blueberries to close that game out. Bender marking up against Scarlet.
Spring Chickens got the turnover, going for a deep pass. Unfortunately, another turnover, but that was an opportunity.
Great long shot, but maybe a little bit close to that far sideline, preventing the Spring Chickens, the intended receiver, from peeling back towards it.
Once again, though, I wouldn't be surprised if we just see some great movement and working up the field from the handlers here. Just making their way up the field, as the Blueberries often do. I would be surprised to see a deep pass.
But it comes anyway. Armstrong with a big shot. Menzies pressured by Linky.
Unfortunately, just too far out for Blueberries to secure that.
But a great position nonetheless. If nothing else, it's important to recognize that they've gained great territory there. The disc has just gone out of the field, only a few meters in front of the defensive end zone.
But the Spring Chickens doing a great job of making sure that even with these deep passes, those players are not by themselves attempting to catch this disc. There's a lot of pressure from Spring Chickens, which is possibly making the difference between whether these are caught or not.
Crystal Tang, great defense. Doing the finest of work on this field at the Ngā Puna Sports Hub in Christchurch. Armstrong.
A turnover in the side of the field that the Blueberries wanted. A point could come from this.
Puts the backhand up.
Pass. Unfortunately, I think Spring Chickens have the better positioning. No, a simple intercept there for Spring Chickens.
That is the peril. So a player like Melody Young, incredibly fit, great receiver, an almost irresistible target in the end zone, despite the coverage from Scarlett, number 4, pressuring that one. Linky working up the line.
But great defense
no.
again. Blueberries not letting it go into the other half of the field.
Just some great work here by both of these teams. Great clinical offense, great pressure defense. Menzies to pick up and initiate for what could be the last point of the game.
Blueberries getting a lot of opportunities, making a lot of opportunities with this great defense. They can try a lot of things. They've got a lot of time. They've got all the time they need. They just need the point.
Puts the laser beam through De Leon. Tan.
Unfortunately, just too low, and it takes the disc to the ground. Spring Chickens are going to want to capitalize and at least try to get the disc into the opposite half of the field.
Now, they've got some of their taller receivers. We see Alice Stolpe there, number 55, who's done some great work in the deep space for Spring Chickens this morning. She's going deep, covered closely by Charlesworth. What great defense there.
Blueberries aren't going to let this happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Spring Chickens still attempt it.
Spring Chickens putting some great movement.
Great defense here and commitment from Blueberries. But Spring Chickens doing a great job of keeping it onto position.
Linky to Diekma. Being forced to work back around.
Hammer fake. Great positioning there.
Scarlett puts the back end up to Stolpe. Pulls it down.
Another break.
A 1-point game to 14. Spring Chickens going 12 against the Blueberries 13. Will, you could not have been more right.
Another deep pass and just positioning the players in the end zone and able to get that point. A much closer game. Spring Chickens at one point, I believe it was 4 or 5 points that they had to cover, and they've got 3 of those breaks that they've needed. With one more, it's the tied game that we said might happen. I didn't think it would be this close, but it is the semifinals.
And again, both of these teams have earned their spot in the semifinals as we see a timeout called after the soft cap. So they're both just going to huddle quickly, have a little bit of decompression, have a bit of a chat, but only 2 points in it. That's exactly what a semifinal should be. It should be a close game. Both teams giving everything. Both teams fighting until the very last to get their spot in the semifinal. Now, Spring Chickens having come off a string of breaks. Will, what do you think they're talking about in that huddle?
Honestly, that what they've been doing is working, but they might change up their tactics just to throw Blueberries off. I mean, both teams have a consistent way that they've been playing, and in some ways it's easy to predict, but they still manage to make it unpredictable. Spring Chickens finding a great point there. I didn't know if they'd be able to get out there, but by identifying a player who had just managed to weave their way through the defenses, the discs were just easily passed to them, and they found space in the end zone to secure that point. Blueberries probably discussing they've had a very strong defense, but it's potentially their offense that just needs a little more working on to get that last point, because with 3 breaks against them, that's got to be hard against the morals, you know?
Absolutely. So just another reminder just how much of a mental game Ultimate can be. Having that comeback train, hearing the rumble of the tracks as the Spring Chickens pull that comeback train into the station, it can be quite unsettling for a team like the Blueberries, despite the fact that they are well-drilled, despite the fact that they are incredibly experienced, very diligent, very controlled on the field. To have the momentum start to creep back in the other direction can be a little bit unsettling. We saw a couple of faces down, but Blueberries able to fire that energy back up, which is great to see. They're going to come down on offense, needing to close out the game. Spring Chickens 2 breaks away from victory.
The longest this game could possibly go is 2 more points, and any point could end the game.
It seems almost a sin to talk over the tension in the field at the moment. These 2 teams battling it out, leaving everything behind.
My main takeaway from this tournament is that Ultimate Frisbee is fun, but when it gets to situations like this, the tension is just coming off of the field.
That's one of the things that I love most about this sport, is the fact that you see a lot of smiles, you see a lot of joking around between teams. These ladies who have played together on social tournaments and met each other in matches just like this at so many national tournaments before. Competitive, but not unnecessarily serious. And I think that's a really, really great thing. People have this assumption that ultimate frisbee is a sport that's just played at high school level and youth, but at the club level like this, we're seeing some of the best athletes in the country really leaving everything behind. Horvath and Huang in that handler space, wanting to seal this one away.
Trying to find space. Handlers still, Blueberries doing the technique they do best, which is passing between handlers, making space, identifying where they can take it forward, making their way up the field.
Huvelan hoping to close.
Blueberries have it on the side of the field that they want it to be.
Horvath and Huang maybe getting a little bit.
Great catch there. That took a lot of reach from Blueberries, but managing to keep it. Any turnover now can be the difference between the game.
Absolutely. So we're seeing a little bit of clogging in the handler space, which is why, thankfully, they were able to thread up the sideline and find Melody Young, who closes out with Parsons. What a great
and that
score.
Takes the game.
That is our game.
Weaving between them all, securing the point.
14-12.
We'll see it on the replay. Doing a great job of just passing, identifying. Again, a good example of Blueberries working the sideline. A well-deserved win.
De Jong fires one out. Parsons with the grab, number 19. A fantastic finish for the Blueberries over the Spring Chickens by the narrowest of margins.
Spring Chickens should be incredibly proud with 3 breaks, an incredible way to finish out that game.
And that brings us to the end of our semi-final on stream, day 3, the New Zealand 2021 Ultimate Championships at Ngā Puna Wai Sports Hub in Christchurch. 14-12 as Blueberries go to meet Nexus Affinity in the finals, which we will have coming up for you very shortly. But next up, we have Dogme from Wildcats, both 2 high-intensity teams to meet us in the open final. But for now, my name is Blair Monroe.
And my name is Will Druzianic.
And we'll be back with you shortly.
Thank you so much.